We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
74 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun had a history of working with weapon systems and had escaped from Peenemünde to come to this country and landed as vice president of Fairchild Industries when I had met him. And as practically a deathbed speech, he educated me about those concepts and who the players were in this game, and gave me the responsibility, since he was dying, of continuing this effort. When Wernher von Braun was dying of cancer, he asked me to be his spokesperson, to appear on occasions when he was too ill to speak. And I did. And what he asked me to do was to educate decision makers and the public about why we shouldn't be putting weapons in space. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him, and that was the strategy that was being used to educate the public and decision makers, and the scare tactics, the spin that was being put on a weapon system. And that was how we identify an enemy. The enemy, at first, he said, the enemy against whom we're going to build a space-based weapon system that he thought was a ridiculous idea, unnecessary and very dangerous, not to mention too costly, etc. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over, during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. A lie. I think I was too naive to know at that time the seriousness of the nature of the spin that was being put on the system. And now the pieces are starting to fall into place. We're building a space-based weapon system based on a premise that is a lie, a spin. And Wernher von Braun was trying to hint that to me back in the early 70s and right up until the moment when he died in 1977. What he told me is that there's an accelerated effort in place. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. The effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late.
In this presentation, we'll be exploring the massive deception of the UFO and alien agenda. NASA, the science community, the top elite are preparing us for something. The Great Deception is coming to our world.
What is coming here? Jesus says that let no man deceive you. Many will come in my name. He also says that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. We read in 2 Thessalonians, Satan comes with all signs and lying wonders. So it gets to the point, what are we really looking at here? What is coming is unprecedented. And the roots of all this can be found literally in Darwinism, because Darwinism sets up an intellectual and spiritual vacuum in a person to where that person goes, well, if we're just, an accident of evolution, well, where did it all start? There are people in academia, in science, in exopolitic movement who are looking for our creators, our progenitors. There is a movement called exopolitics who are looking towards ET as just exactly what, now that sounds far out. He says, well, maybe millions of years ago in another part of the galaxy, a race of highly evolved extraterrestrials would have created mankind and then scattered us through the universe, and here we are. That's panspermia. So Darwinism sets up, what it does is it erodes, cuts away the bulwark of the worldview, the Christian worldview. It cuts away at the knees. And so we are now in this postmodern Christian world where, well, we all evolved. And even some theologians and pastors will say, well, God used evolution. Baloney. No, he created everything. He spoke it into existence. But this sets up the paradigm, okay, for the coming Great Deception. Darwinism is sort of a linchpin which sets up the coming Great Deception. All the signs are here. And what's coming, signs in the heavens, signs on the earth, what is coming is unprecedented. And it will cause, in my opinion, this Great Deception, which says that E.T. created all life on earth, that E.T. Genetically manipulated us, that E.T. started the world's civilizations, that E.T. created all the world's religions, and now, at this critical juncture in human history, E.T. has come to give us a DNA download, upgrade.
And again, isn't it interesting that all of these researchers seem to concur that these aliens want to come and give us spiritual messages?
I want you to know that God isn't personal, he's a force. And Jesus is not the Savior. I mean, he's just a more highly evolved being than I am. I've heard about him, I haven't seen him yet, but he's on a higher plane. And on it goes. Spirit survival. No, Dad, there's no judgment. God doesn't judge you. You don't face him in judgment. We just move into graduate school and we continue to learn our lessons, and progress and so forth. All of the lies undermining what the Bible says. But the Bible is the book that has true prophecies, no false prophecies. You can't escape it. It's true, okay? So when these entities begin to disagree with the Bible and undermine the Bible, I know who they are. In fact, I've interviewed people around the world. I've been studying this thing for years. Whether they're channelers, you got about 1,000 of them in Los Angeles. You used to have. I don't know how many they have now. Read some of your New Age publications. They will admit that what the channelers, what the psychics, what the mediums say all over the world who've never been in touch with one another, there's a continuity to it. There's an amazing similarity, not just a similarity, but it's coming from the same source, obviously. And there's a definite philosophy that is presented that conforms to the 4 lies that the serpent introduced to Eve in the Garden of Eden. That God is not personal but a force, that you don't die, there's no death, you just get recycled, reincarnation, and we're moving upward, we're evolving upward to godhood. You can become a god. That's the lie of the serpent. And the 4th one, nothing wrong with you, it's the way you think. You need to be initiated into this knowledge, the tree of knowledge, with a dark and a light side, the Star Wars force and so forth. They all say that. Sir John Eccles, Nobel Prize winner for his research on the brain, describes the brain as, quote, a machine that a ghost can operate, unquote. What he means by that is your spirit operates your brain in a normal state of consciousness. In an altered state, reached under yoga, a TM, hypnosis, you have loosened the normal connection between your spirit and your brain, and that allows another spirit, other entities, other minds to interpose themselves and begin to tick off the neurons in your brain, create a universe of illusion.